third week here of catching up on headlines across minor league baseball and the prospect landscape. You got Aram waiting, Jack McMullen. It's the call-up. We've got call-ups to talk about as well, which is awesome. We're getting to that part of the season where teams have needs, they want to address them, and some good players are getting some opportunities that maybe wouldn't have been getting an opportunity this early. Unfortunately, injuries become part of the equation, and that does open up opportunity, and we're seeing that across the game a little bit. As a result, some promotions as well through the minor league levels, and just some more players to check in on who continue to perform or have really caught our eyes over a larger sample since we did this last week.
Some guys are balling, man. It's been fun, and you got some headlines that have not come to fruition yet. Like Nick Kurtz has yet to make his major league debut, but Kurtz got the call up, and you got some other guys that just debuted on Monday or debuted over the weekend. Like we're going to start with Chandler Simpson, and he already has 8 plate appearances under his belt. So it is fun to kind of have this time where it's like, oh, this guy got promoted, and then the ripple effect is this guy got promoted, and then the ripple is this guy got promoted. It is cool.
What's funny is we just did Raise Top Prospects, and we were just talking about Chandler Simpson and saying it might be a couple weeks or a month or a couple months before he gets called up because they've had some good performances from their guys that have maybe been in AAA a little bit longer, maybe guys that weren't expected to be contributors who are looking really good in a Cam Meisner. Even, what you've been able to get from a Jake Mangum, I think has been awesome, and I'm so happy for him, a guy that's worked his ass off to get there and plays the game as hard as anybody in professional baseball. But, that made me wonder, okay, well, are we going to maybe have to wait to see Simpson, especially because of how much they value, center field defense out there in Tampa? But at the same time, this team isn't off to a great start, and if you want to start to just kind of get some runs manufactured here and spark an offense, call up the fastest man in baseball who doesn't whiff, and maybe the defense is a little secondary at this point. I think that also is a testament to the fact that they are confident in the fact that his defense has improved and gotten to a point where it's fine in center field, but I think a huge part of this is let's spark this offense a little bit because it's not like Mangum and Meisner aren't playing. They're playing. It's more of maybe Morel is going to see his playing time cut into a little bit, and we're going to try to go on the speedy side of things at the top of the order, and I love it, and Simpson deserves it.
They're trying to establish an identity, and I think that's pretty darn clear in Tampa, and they are not afraid of making that Isaac Paredes deal look like a loss. Like, I think they're fine with it, especially with what they got in Ty Johnson and Hunter Biggie. Like, I think they view Morel as a little bit less than what the baseball world viewed Morel as when he came over in the trade. It's like, oh, Christopher Morel, who was, dangled as a trade option by the Cubs for a year and a half before it actually happened. I think they saw the writing on the wall there. And listen, if they see the writing on the wall with a big leaguer like that, go get the most exciting player in minor league baseball. And it's funny, like, this guy was the most viral player in minor league baseball this year. He had a 650 OPS, but he was the most viral player in minor league baseball because anytime this guy put bat on ball, he was off to the races. He stole 8 bags in 17 games. He hit 300. No, he didn't slug, and he didn't walk at all. He had 3 walks and 73 plate appearances. But at the end of the day, like, Chandler Simpson has game-changing, game-wrecking speed. And Tampa wanted that in their lineup, and I totally understand. Speed doesn't slump. And when the rest of the offense slumps a little bit, put the speed at the top.
And not walking wasn't a product of his approach or anything. He wasn't chasing. It's just he got to AAA, and pitchers were saying, hey, we're not going to put this guy on. We're going to make him get himself on base, which he did do plenty, and if he hits a single, that's fine. But there's going to be points in the big leagues where that low 20% chase rate and a chase rate that's been below 20% at points is going to result in some more walks when they're facing pitchers who maybe aren't as dialed in or relievers who are a little bit more erratic. Like, he's going to walk a little bit more than what we saw at the AAA level. Because I saw when he was promoted, people were like, oh, well, this could be kind of Victor Scott again, where he's not going to walk and blah, blah, blah. The bat to ball is just on a different level. And also, Victor Scott looks pretty decent now. But the bat to ball is on a different level. He's even faster somehow. And the approach, he is very patient. So I think it's going to be a solid addition for them, even if he's OPSing 650. It's going to be beyond what you can kind of calculate in the WAR department because he's going to be creating runs in so many different ways. And we saw that, like something that Peter and I were talking about on the Just Baseball show is like that overturned error to hit for Simpson on the ground ball because it was booted and it looked like an obvious error. But if you look at when Paul Goldschmidt booted it, Simpson was 2 steps away from first base. So even if they end up ruling these errors or whatever it may be, like he's a game wrecker, as you said. He's going to make guys make errors. He's going to put pressure on defenses. And like when you're struggling a little bit as a ball club and as an offense, you just need that guy that's going to shake shit up. And I think Simpson's exactly that. And I love that they brought him up. Hopefully he gets a little bit of runway. I don't know what's going to happen with Josh Lowe comes back, who's already on the mend and things like that. But yeah, I'd imagine that cuts into somebody else's reps, to be honest. And I think it should.
I would think so, and only time will tell. I don't think it'll cut into Mangum, especially with the way that Mangum is playing right now. But Meisner is not proven commodity, but Meisner has proven that he will get extended runway with Tampa. And Lowe is obviously Lowe, so you would think Simpson would slide over to left, maybe play center, and they just sacrifice a little bit of defense there.
I'm very fascinated to see how they go about this whole situation here because Morel is out of options. And you know, I just don't know if they just use him more as a short platoon guy. Caballero can move all over. It's going to be fascinating, but you know, until Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau start swinging it better, they're going to have to try to, and I should say Danny Jansen as well, who they paid. Yeah. They're going to have to continue to try to be clever with how they can piece things together.
It's funny. You got to try and rely on some big leaguers. The A's have gotten off to a really nice start offensively. Problem is they're struggling to pitch, but like understandably so because the A's don't have a good pitching staff. But they're hitting, and they add a hitter to this fold. Nick Kurtz is up, and Kurtz in 20 games with AAA Las Vegas, 321 with 7 doubles, 7 homers, 24 driven in 20 games. He had a 1040 OPS. He slugged north of 650. It's a hitter-friendly environment. Kurtz would be OPSing 1,000 in the Southern League, the way he was swinging that bat. I mean, he was balling out, and it was just a matter of time. They're going to try fitting this puzzle. I mean, Rooker's going to play some outfield. Soderstrom is leading the league in homers. And now you add Kurtz to the fold.
It's really cool just to see this A's team intent on being competitive. Where, I mean, I think a year or two ago, I mean, they're gonna sit this thing out with Kurtz and not give him a chance to be able to slide into that full year of control, or I would say taking that full year of control away and getting a full year service time if he was able to be a top finisher and rookie of the year, which I think is very possible here. But 2, just again, ensuring that you're in a spot where, look, there's no reason to rush your prospects. You can have that extra year of control, and then maybe make it not even close for him to be able to finish there. But this is a team that I think looks at the roster, looks at the offense, sees what they're doing, and says, "Hey, we can do something here, or at least make some noise and build some excitement around our team." It would help if they had an actual home, but in terms of what they're trying to do, and I just. Look, I don't like ownership. I don't like the way that they've gone about their business. But in terms of what the front office is doing right now and the intent to win, you can feel that tangible shift. And the promotion of Kurtz is great for that. I'm just going to be the one thing that I want to monitor here. And like people are talking about the home runs, and rightfully so. He is killing, and he would be killing in any environment. I agree. He is striking out a fair amount for the PCL, right? Stuff, especially when you're playing in some of these other environments, is going to be subdued, not Coors Field level subdued, but a little bit subdued. Like when you're playing in El Paso, like stuff's not going to be as sharp. That's the one thing I'm a little bit wary of. If you remember the pre-draft reports, the one reason why Kurtz was a little bit behind Cags for me was I was a little concerned about the secondary whiff and breaking ball whiff, and that's still been a little bit of a thing in AAA. I'm not trying to pour cold water on a really exciting moment, but I'm also just trying to maybe give a guide of what to look for. He's going to hammer fastballs and he's going to hammer mistakes. But how is he battling against these well-located secondaries? Is he laying off of them? Is he swinging and missing through these breaking balls and changeups in the zone? Because when that starts happening, that's where that kind of steep swing, and it can result in a little bit more swing and miss than you want to see. And that could slow his performance in the early going at the big league level.
do you think the discipline is going to stay there at the major league level? Like, I feel like this guy is not going to press because when you make the move to Kurtz, he's not going back down. I don't know what he has to. Obviously, he's got a lot to prove, but I don't know if there's, an overwhelming sense of urgency for him to produce, which could result in some chase and him expanding and him getting away from what he's really good at. So I understand that the swing and miss is going to be there, but you feel like the walks aren't going to be there or no?
I think they should be, and that's the X factor, right? If they're not, then that tells me, okay, he's either pressing or he's a little overmatched, and he might need a little bit more time. What's interesting is, he's been patient, recognizing secondary stuff really well, and he's just been aggressive on fastballs. But to me, that's probably a guy that was trying to hit his way to the show, and he's crushing. So he's going to be patient, and I think that is probably the biggest X factor, because he can whiff in secondaries, but if he's walking and homering, like, you're good with it. If that chase rate's creeping to 30%. That's where you start to wonder, is he comfortable? And I don't think that's going to happen. And I think that's what's going to ensure the fact that he'll be productive. But I also just want people to temper the expectations just to a degree. Like, there's going to be an adjustment period, and that's normal. And I think that's part of the reason why they're bringing him up now. They want him hitting his stride in June, July, where this team can maybe make a late push and make some noise. Maybe they add some more pitching. Maybe they bring up Barnett, Perkins. I think that they're going to try to make a little bit of a fun run at this thing and try to sneak into the wild card conversation.
Can I give you a comp for Kurtz at the big league level? Like, if the progression looks like this guy, I feel okay. Manzardo. Kyle Manzardo, when he came up, he did not walk. It was 9 walks and 156 plate appearances last year, and he had a 700 OPS. But then this year he comes back, he's getting back to who Kyle Manzardo is, and all of a sudden he has a 910 OPS. I think if Kurtz does struggle out of the gates, it's probably going to look a little Manzardo-ish, and then it's going to start to look Manzardo-ish when he gets right. And
that's the funny thing. It was shocking to see Manzardo not walk, right? And then we're talking about a guy in AAA that was walking 17% of the time.
And I think people are going to be shocked if Kurtz doesn't walk.
100%. And I wouldn't be sounding the alarms. It would be that progression. I'm with you. And the good thing with Kurtz is, if it looks Manzardo-ish, it's going to be that with more power. Because he can miss hit balls that leave the yard that just a lot of guys can't. The backside power is crazy. And look, you can mention the PCL. His home ballpark is the PCL, so that is going to help as well. And that's why I think he's going to get his. But I'm with you. There could be that just adjustment period. But if he's ahead of that, then I think we're going to see this guy mashing. He's definitely a Rookie of the Year candidate just because of the power potential. And if he's playing first base, going to accumulate WAR because he's a great defender there.
Yep. All right. Minnesota Twin. Luke Keaschall, 3 games so far in the big leagues. He's 4 for 12. He does have a pair of doubles, and he's driven in 2 already. He also has his first stolen base, so he's kind of stat sheet stuffing right now. Luke Keaschall last year, obviously awesome. 102 games, was dealing with an elbow injury. Wasn't it a torn UCL?
Yeah,
for Keaschall?
Torn UCL.
Yeah, so he was playing through a torn UCL, but 102 games, he hit 303 with a 903 OPS, 23 bags, and 15 homers. This year, he starts the year with St. Paul, and in 14 games in AAA, hit 261 with a homer, and he was 4 for 5 in the stolen base department, walking almost as much as he punched out. Keaschall has proven to be an insanely high-floor player, and through his first 3 games, he's exactly what the Twins needed, and the Twins are terrible.
They're terrible. Oh, my gosh. He is everything that they needed. Number 42 prospect for us for the large reason being how high probability of a big leaguer he is, and just the different ways that he can impact the game. He can give you good ABs consistently, which they need. He's going to post above average bat to ball and plus plate discipline. That recipe there is always going to bode well for a player's floor. But then on top of that, you have this budding power that he added strength after the draft and started to hit the ball harder, and that was what really elevated him for us too. And he's elevates the ball. And even in this year where we haven't seen the power fully shine through, it was cold in the start of the season in AAA. But a 32% ground ball rate, if you include even the short big league stint as well. He's elevating. The EVs have gotten to a point where they're slightly above average. This is a really well-rounded player. I was always just fascinated by the defensive side of things because we didn't get to see him progress because of that Tommy John, where even when he was playing through it before he got the TJ, he was DHing, playing first. But this is a guy that when he was healthy, they were experimenting with in the outfield because he's a borderline plus runner. So right now it's still second base and DH because they're nursing that arm back And I mean, I don't think they were expecting to call him up this quickly. Like, I think they were expecting to have a little bit more runway to build that arm up. So he's going to be like one day on, one day off. That's how much that they just felt like they needed his bat in the fold here. But I am interested to see long term. Like, I don't think the ship has totally sailed on trying to play him at other spots. I think he could get by in left and give you this nice versatility, this kind of like Whit Merrifield type of versatility, where he could play second, play corner outfield, maybe can develop enough to plug in center in an emergency. He's just such a good ball player, man, and that's the kind of guy that like I would just love to have on my team if I were, a GM.
100%. And what, at the very least, right now, you're getting a short end of the platoon at second base with Julien, but you're also going to find, space for him. Like, Larnach is DHing right now, and he's playing some corner outfield as well. It feels like the DH spot is kind of open when you've got Kersey playing a lot and Bader playing a lot, and you know that people are going to get hurt a little bit.
Yep.
They have some optionality when it comes to what they do with Keaschall and what they do with Brooks Lee as well. Brooks Lee is a kind of interesting wrinkle.
I'm glad you mentioned him. Like, he's ahead of Brooks Lee now to me. Like, and I understand that.
So I'm with you.
It might not be fair to Brooks Lee because he's been banged up, but like that's why. Like, if I'm building right now, I'm prioritizing Luke Keaschall reps, and I think Luke Keaschall is a guy that's if someone's going to help turn this thing around, it's more likely going to be Keaschall at this point.
Yep. Can I ask you a real quick major league question?
Yeah.
3 years, $30 million for Christian Vasquez. Is that as bad a deal as there is in Major League Baseball?
Follow up. Is it worse than trading Wilyer Abreu for 3 months of him?
That's a good question. I don't know.
And Emmanuel Valdez, who like is a player.
He's a player. He's a big leaguer with the Pirates. Sorry you caught this stray, Christian Vasquez.
Which of the two transactions for you were the worst?
I think the contract might be worse.
Yeah, it's a bad
I'm not
contract.
sure.
It's a bad contract.
Dude, it's crazy. All right, Brewer now. Logan Henderson made his Major League debut. Logan Henderson, not the part of Big Time Rush. Logan Henderson, the Brewers pitcher. And this guy, we talked about it, really good fastball, excellent changeup. And in his Major League debut over the weekend, Logan Henderson, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 9 Ks. 83 pitches, 53 for strikes. That comes after he punched out 24 and had a 3.2 ERA 3 turns through with AAA Nashville. This guy was really good last year. Logan Henderson, 81 1/3 at a 3.32 ERA. He got from high A to AAA. He struck out 104, walked 15, and a whip just over 0.9, a batting average against under 200. I threw a bunch of numbers at you just now because they're all really freaking good.
They're awesome. And really the only thing was like some walks in the early going as he's just getting adjusted to AAA. But historically, has had no issue with walks. And I think we saw in the big league debut, not an issue. They optioned him, which was funny. I think that's more just like procedural. Like, I think he'll be back up hopefully sooner rather than later and just to have more arms available. But it is fastball changeup heavy, and that's going to be the thing to monitor. But it's a plus heater and a plus changeup that tunnel off of each other ridiculously well for both to play up even beyond that. It's such a low release, high carry situation there where it's just such a ridiculous angle for hitters and such a flat approach where you're getting 17 vert from a 5.3 release height, and he's getting some arm side run with it too. And we talked about it a little bit on the JB show, but like the separation that he's getting, it's 12 inches of vertical separation and another 8 inches almost of horizontal separation. So you're getting 20 inches of total separation and 11 miles per hour of velocity separation, and they look the same out of the hand. He can fastball change up you to death, and that's pretty much what he's doing. Just enough of the cutter slider to keep you honest. I was trying to think about the role here, and because you know the Brewers like to get creative.
Yeah.
Is it more of the? I know he went 6 innings, but generally speaking, as the league adjusts, until they respect that slider cutter more, he's probably going to be more of a 5 and dive guy. Would he be interesting as a piggyback potentially to an opener against a really good lineup? Like, I just think he creates a really cool weapon for them. I'm curious what you think the best way is to maybe utilize that weapon.
So Bryce Wilson had a really good year in Milwaukee. Was that last year or the year before?
I think that was last year. I can't keep up with all their ridiculously good arms. That pop up in the bullpen.
Bryce Wilson had a very, very good season for the Milwaukee Brewers.
The last 2 years. It was better in 23, but I mean, he threw 104 and 2/3 innings last year to 404. They would run with that right now, I think.
They would run with that. And then what was it in 23?
A 2.58.
And can you give me the out of the bullpen appearances and then the starts? Like, how many starts did he make, and then how many relief appearances?
Last year?
Yeah.
He made 34 appearances total. 9 of them were starts.
So that is kind of the way that I feel like Logan Henderson is best used, and Bryce Wilson is no longer in the fold in Milwaukee right now. And I think Henderson is as good, if not better, than Bryce Wilson. And I think Bryce Wilson is good. Like,
yeah.
I watched this guy in AAA. I was like, you're not a AAA pitcher. You're a major league pitcher that is in AAA right now for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
This guy was good in any situation you plopped him in. And if you need him to throw from the 3rd to the 7th, you do that. If you need him to throw from the 1st through the 5th, you do that.
If you need a spot start, he can give you that. Yeah.
Exactly. I think Logan Henderson is just the next iteration of Bryce Wilson. And it doesn't sound sexy, but it's awesome.
And if you want him to finish a game out or pitch 1 inning in the 7th, like if that fastball ticks up to 93, 94, it is 93. If it ticks up to like 94, grabbing a 5 with those characteristics, he's going to get big whiff. So it's a really interesting role that I think he can fill here. And he's just 23 for the entirety of the year. So another good arm in the Brewers fold.
Yep. Padre here, Tirso Ornelas got up to make his major league debut. Tirso was a guy that we were kind of pounding the pavement to make the opening day roster, and then they put together a last-minute platoon of Jason Hayward and Connor Joe, which made a lot of sense. It's probably the better option because you have some vets on this Padre team. But Hayward hits the IL, Ornelas gets the call. Tirso already has his first RBI. He's looking for his first hit. But this guy, 3 batted balls to this point. I think one of them was 95 and the other was 98 miles an hour. He hits the ball hard. He is a big man. And this year, in 17 games with El Paso, an OPS just under 780. But last year, hit 297 with 23 homers and an 860 OPS. He spent the entire year in AAA. He's a big, physical outfielder. And I think he can be, one of those sneaky threats in the 7-hole for San Diego.
100%. And I mean, look, I hope Hayward, has a little bit left and can enjoy the year. But if you're trying to put your best foot forward here as the Padres, I understand there's some growing pains that may come with a young, unproven player in Ornelas, but you added him to the 40 for a reason. You thought other teams would identify him as a guy that could be taken in the Rule 5 draft that is worth a shot at the big league level, and I would have taken him if I had, an opening in the Rule 5 draft if he was unprotected as well. And I mean, we're seeing Tyler Wade still get reps.
Crazy.
And I know he's actually been good out of the gate, so that's people who say, oh, he's got a 123 WRC plus and 23 plate appearances. Sure, whatever.
23. Yeah.
I won't hold my breath. But you got Yuli Gurriel getting ABs. I understand he's a first baseman, but still, we're just talking about ABs that could be going around right now. I think Ornelas has an opportunity to be better than all these guys. Even Oscar Gonzalez, I think Ornelas has an opportunity to be better than him. So, there's still a lot of reps that are going to guys that I think could be inferior to a June or July Ornelas as he settles in. And he earned that with what he did last year. 89% in zone contact rate, exit velocities that are above average. He's fine in a corner and plays either corner. Can give you a little bit of speed. I mean, it was a really impressive year. And this guy played 176 games last year if you include the Winter League and everything. And in those 176 games, I understand that's more than a full season, but 35 doubles, 30 homers. He's just been hitting. So he deserves an opportunity, and I hope he gets a fair amount of runway. He can absolutely elevate the back end of this lineup, especially with, the performance that you're getting from, some of your key guys.
So what does a successful 2 months for Tirso Ornelas look like? So these 2 months, he's hitting the ball hard. He's elevating how much? You worry about the ground ball issues?
You worry about the ground ball rate. I think you hope that the above average exit velocities, result in higher BABIP, and he can motor a little bit too. So I think that helps. I think it's realistically, you're not going to see a huge power surge. I think it's him finding the gaps and getting a little bit more comfortable and elevating because that ground ball rate is inflated. But you're seeing it with some of the Marlins guys now that are even getting their feet wet. Maybe not hitting as many home runs as you'd expect right out of the gate, but if you hit the ball hard, They're going to find the gaps. They're going to get through, and you can be an above-average hitter. And then as you get more comfortable, you elevate a little bit more. So I think with Ornelas, like, it's just close to league average offense, maybe a little bit more, finding those good ABs. I think the big thing to monitor is going to be chase rate and ground ball rate. And those are two things that he did a good job of cutting down last year, but those things always creep up at the big league level.
Speaking of Marlins and hitting the ball hard, Agustin Ramirez debuted yesterday, a double at 110 miles an hour. His first big league hit was pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was like a chopper, third base side. MiLB Marte just whiffed on it entirely, and then Ellie couldn't make a play behind him. And it was like, okay, is it a single or an air? It's a single. Hey, congratulations.
That shouldn't have been a hit, by the way, though. Like, I'm all for giving Augustin his knocks. MiLB Marte couldn't have looked worse going to that ball.
It could not have looked worse. I'm with you, but the double was legit, and Agustin walked as well, but a double, one hopped over the wall in left center at 110 off the bat. This guy, like, he looked, in terms of game calling, it was a pretty easy job with Max Meyer punching out 14 last night against Cincinnati, but, like, Agustin, in terms of game calling, was just slider low, sinker low, changeup low, dare you to hit it, and nobody did. In terms of receiving, it wasn't egregious, and offensively, you saw one of the best strong power bats in minor league baseball make his big league debut.
I mean, I've been leading the charge of, like, this guy is not as bad as it looks behind the dish, and like, it doesn't need to be good, but if it's 40 grade, it'll work. Like, I understand that he didn't. It was the majority of the value came from Max Meyer throwing the way that he threw last night. But at the end of the day, if you're a liability behind the dish, your starting pitcher's probably not going to punch out 14. Like, it's going to be harder for the starter to trust to bury his stuff, because a lot of it was those sliders down, and I thought Agustin did a good job of blocking. But you kind of got a taste of what I was saying, where, like, when I would watch the Agustin games, there'd be like one whiff that then I think gets a light shined on it, but then everything else was fine. So it's like, there's a lot of players that are going to frame a bunch of borderline pitches poorly, and those will accumulate to be more detrimental than one whiff that allows a runner to advance. But because the one whiff every once in a while is so blatant with Agustin, I think that people almost over-rip him in terms of, like, how bad it was. Because then you look at him today, like, he had a lot of good blocks. He received well overall. I think he kind of graded out as, like, a neutral framer in that game, which is fine. That's all you want. Yeah. And everything looked fine. So that's the thing with him. It's just minimizing the one big or two big whiffs in those games. And it's because he's so technical. And I think it's because he's worked so hard to do things right. It does look a little bit mechanical at points. Yeah. But that's fine because it's allowing him to be passable back there.
Yeah, well, and to your point, the one pass ball, like, he tried to kind of pull a pitch up from the bottom of the strike zone, and it ended up kind of popping out of his glove and rolling down the third base line, and that resulted in a pass ball and a guy taking an extra base. But at the end of the day, like, that runner did not come in to score, so it was okay. It's obviously not okay because you want to set a high standard, but you're right. Like, he was just trying to pull that up, and it didn't work, but he pulled literally everything else up, and he was fine, and he was tugging everything down at the top of the zone, although there was not much for him to tug down at the top of the zone. I will say one of their concerns is the transfer. Like, they want him to be a little more athletic, and obviously when you're hyper mechanical, I understand that it's, like, a good thing because you worked hard on it. You got to let your athleticism shine through a little bit when you're trying to control the running game. Now, Marlins pitchers in general this year have not done a great job controlling the running game. Like, the teams are stealing a bunch of bases, and they're stealing them at a high clip right now. But, it takes two to tango there, and I think they want to see him improve the transfer. And I know that he worked with Joe Singley, one of the catching coaches, a lot during spring training on the transfer. Haven't seen it just yet, but hoping that, it's something that you see a little bit more loose and fluid.
Well, you say, like, be athletic back there, and he is a really good athlete. I mean, he already stole a base in his first big league game. And if
here's what he does, and I want to shine some light on him because he was 5 for 5 in the stolen base department in Jacksonville, and he was 22 for 24 last year. So people might see that and say, "Oh, sneaky speed." No. Pitchers get lulled into this idea that a guy that has, like, an Easter Island, like, he's humongous, absolutely humongous. They get lulled saying that guy's not going to steal a base. And then he's 2/3 of the way to third base before the pitcher even lifts his leg up. Like, he realizes that they don't look at him, and he just takes off. His baseball IQ is clearly through the roof.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's historic too. Like if you look at like every year in the minor leagues, high stolen base numbers for a catcher at a high efficiency. So if you're a fantasy player, you should absolutely pick him up because he's a guy that's going to be able to give you some bags too. But the Marlins, like I think that the final form of Agustin is, yeah, he's probably going to be a fringy catcher. You're really excited about the power. He shares time with a potentially very defensively solid Joe Mack, who we'll talk about in a moment here. But Ramirez has a chance to be one of the best power hitters in this, next phase young Marlins lineup of this new core, where, I mean, he's got the raw power to hit 30. I think his swing path is more geared to 20 to 25 in doubles. If you got a catcher hitting 20 to 25 with plenty of doubles who maybe split some time at first and DH as well, like, it's a really good player that the Marlins have probably sorely needed for some years now.
Really good player. We are going to talk about Joe Mack in a moment, but before that, do want to tell you about our friends at GameTime. I'm sure you've run into this situation where you're constantly scanning, looking for the best ticket, maybe a cheap ticket for something you really want to go to. NBA playoffs are happening right now. You got a whole bunch of other stuff. Stanley Cup playoffs, if you want to make the trip to Sunrise, if you're in South Florida and go see the Ice Cats play some playoff hockey, you're taking a peek around the ticketing marketplaces. Look no further than GameTime, which is the official ticketing partner of the Just Baseball show. There are tons of great options, and a reminder that you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, list goes on. GameTime makes last minute ticket buying easier than ever. It highlights the best deals in the stadium using their GameTime Picks feature. They also have zone deals. You can save even more when you choose a section and you let GameTime choose the seats. There is all-in pricing. It's a toggle feature that shows you the total up front with no surprise fees. At checkout, you also get seat views, the lowest price guarantee, and GameTime ticket coverage. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code JUSTBASEBALL, all caps, one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code JUSTBASEBALL, JUSTBASEBALL, for $20 off today. Download the GameTime app. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I almost made it through that.
You might need to use GameTime for the Rufus Du Sol concert down here. I need to drag you to that if you can get out of the Marlins game in time.
Yeah, it's a 4:10 start. It's the same weekend as the Miami Grand Prix too, so that's going to be it's going to be packed. Although, don't they do the Grand Prix at night? I think it'll be crossover there.
Yeah, and it's all the way in Miami Gardens. It's
okay.
At the Dolphins Stadium. So
yeah, we're good. I'll go to Rufus. I'll immerse myself in the experience. And great.
Oh yeah.
Immersing himself in the AAA experience. God, that was a bad transition.
Yeah.
Joe Mack just got the call to AAA Jacksonville, and I don't know, what it means, because Agustin gets up. You would assume that, Mack was going to follow, and lo and behold, he does. Joe Mack started the year with AA Pensacola because you want pretty much everyday catcher reps for Agustin Ramirez and Joe Mack. So Mack, where he was so good last year, started again. It felt like a quick thing. When Agustin got up to the big leagues, Mack was going to backfill his spot, and that's exactly what you got. And Joe Mack has been swinging it as well as really anybody in AA to this point.
It was too easy. It was too easy for him. And I'm really going to be interested in the AAA adjustment. I do think there's going to be a bit of an adjustment for him. And I think it's good that he's there now and can spend the entirety of the season there, because AA was too easy. Destroying baseballs. I think working with former big leaguers, up and down guys is going to be really important for Joe Mack too, because I remember going over some stuff with the Marlins and our top prospect update list, and they were over the moon with the defense and everything that's come along for Mack. But as is the case for any at the time 21-year-old catcher, now 22, they were very excited about him progressing in the pitch calling department and getting more reps there and just how to handle a staff. And I mean, you can speak to it. There's just a different level of responsibility that comes with handling, I think, a AAA staff than a AA staff, because guys are trying to do things to get back to the big leagues. Guys are maybe down there specifically working on things, or are getting healthy and they're always in the big leagues. So it's just a different kind of situation there. I know the Marlins love their coaches there in AAA as well, and guys that can work with the catchers as well. So I'm pumped on it for Mack. I think it's a really good challenge for him because there is some underlying swing and miss. He hits the living crap out of the ball. I think he's going to be a 3 true outcome catcher or a hitter who is a plus catcher, and that's what you're hoping for. Is can you get to those 2 positive outcomes enough? And with the raw power continuing to progress the way that it is, I think he will be able to get to those 2 outcomes enough. So it's like I do think the hit tool is still below average, but he's doing everything else to make it not matter, and that's fine.
Yeah, and the answer for Mack was yes, he was getting to those 2 true outcomes enough, 2 of the 3 positive true outcomes enough. Like, he was 14 hits in his first 13 games, and 7 of those 14 were extra base hits. So he had 4 doubles and 3 homers. He also walked 10 times in 13 games. So,
53% hard hit rate.
Yeah, so I mean, he's hitting the ball really hard. He's walking, and he kept the Ks in check. It was 12 punch-outs and 56 plate appearances. It's not awesome, but it's not a liability by any stretch. No. So, Mack, I think you're really, really happy that he was one of the best bats in Double-A baseball before this call-up. And, yeah, I mean, listen, you get a 3 true outcome catcher with elite defense.
Just plus defense. You got a really good catcher for a long time, but if it could be elite, which we know he has the ability to, this is we've talked about a really fun potential catching tandem for the Marlins. I think Mack is going to take some time, and maybe it's opening day next year. You're hoping for that tandem, maybe a September call up, but even if he's hot out of the gate, just want to caution fans or maybe fantasy players that are maybe looking for their next catcher who has power. I think Mack's going to spend a fair amount of time there because there's just some things to refine.
Fair. All right, Ronny Simon Hive, rise up. Absolutely rise up. Ronny Simon in his first big league game, 1 for 4 with an RBI single, just got the call from the Marlins. 15 games with AAA Jacksonville. This guy was hitting .354. He walked 9 times, and he was 4 for 5 in the stolen base department. Ronny Simon, if you've heard that name before, he is a favorite of both Aram and myself. He's been in the upper levels with Tampa for the last 3 years, and he's been really good. There's just been no space at the major league level. Last year with Durham, Ronny Simon in 130 games hit .283 with 10 homers, 20 bags, and a .785 OPS. Peter Bendix saw this guy hit the minor league free agent cycle and had to say, that's my guy. Let's get him over here. He was a minor league free agent signing, non-40, and he was amazing in Jacksonville. This guy's been a spark plug forever, and you've been betting on a 2.5 win season for him when he does get that shot, and he might be getting that shot now.
I forgot about that. There's a few funny Ronny Simon quotes we've had through the years. So this is not Marlins homerism here.
No, not at all. This was Ronny Simon love when he was a Rays prospect.
I've got this Bowman auto to 50 that I got for $10 2 years ago.
There you go.
It's just a player. I really fell in love with him in the Arizona Fall League the first time I was out there. I think he was a Mesa Solar Sock. But I love the way he plays the game. I love the way he goes about his business. He's just explosive for how small he is. I mentioned it. The last 2 years, I would have taken him in the Rule 5 draft. And I'm not kidding. You had Cooper Bowman getting drafted, and nothing against him, but Ronny Simon can do all the same things and has done it more at the AAA level. So I'm glad he's getting an opportunity. It sucks the way that it all happened, but this is a guy that was putting up numbers in AAA to start the year, not chasing, which is a huge wrinkle for him. He can play all over the diamond. He's going to steal some bags here and there. I'm excited for Ronny, and it's just we had to mention him just because, this is one of our cult heroes here. This is one of the players that minor league free agent that I will just always stand on, will accumulate more than 5 WAR in his big league career. And if you sign a minor league free agent who does that, that's a good pickup.
No doubt. Okay, we'll pivot to the Dodgers here. Josue De Paula, just one Dodger today, I promise. But De Paula, there is not a promotion to go along with this. 14 games with high A Great Lakes. He's hitting .271 with 7 extra base hits. He's walked 16 times compared to 11 punch-outs and 64 plate appearances, and he's got a .974 OPS. De Paula and Hope, they're both OPSing right around 1,000 in Great Lakes. You've got 2 teenagers that are too good for high A at this point?
Yeah, Hope just turned 20, and De Paula is still 19. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, I didn't want to do a whole Hope thing all over again, but since we last talked about him, he did hit 2 home runs in one game. One was backside off of Chase Burns on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. So like it's just an absurd game from him as well. But because of that, I wanted to give some shine to De Paula, who his numbers almost get overlooked. His 974 OPS looks like minuscule to Zaire Hope's 1100. But I wanted to talk to Paula because he looks like he is really settling into who he is as a hitter. And like he's still not even hitting the ball as hard as he normally does yet. But the bat to ball has continued to come along. The approach looks so freaking good. The game looks slow for him as I'm watching. And he's got 7 extra base hits already this year, and I still don't even think he's dialed into the power yet. Like that's something that I think is going to come out a little bit more as the season progresses. But the way that he is managing his at-bats is so impressive right now. This guy's way too good. I would argue, like, as good as Hope has looked, like, De Paula is the one that actually looks the most, like, too good for this level just because of how easy the at-bats and how slow everything looks. Like, every once in a while, Hope, takes some big hacks and you see him strike out a couple times. De Paula, it's like every at-bat is just comfortable. That said, I think they're both too good for high A.
So I hear that, and I raise you Zaire Hope's numbers on the year, hitting 339 with a 1087 OPS in 15 games.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand that you're trying to be edgy with that take that De Paula might be better, but Zaire Hope
Not
is
better,
hitting 340.
obviously.
No, but like more comfortable in high A. Like might be too good for this level, but I raise you a 340 batting average.
Yeah, a guy who's just torching baseballs, a 90th percentile of 109 so far through this year. 2 home runs in that game, by the way. One was the 107 backside 440 off of the hottest pitching prospect right now in baseball, and then 109 dead center 420 feet. Zaire Hope is different, but this tandem I think might be. Is there other than Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony? Is there a more exciting prospect tandem in like if you're talking about like team I must go see or would love to go see if I could? I don't know if there's a more exciting prospect tandem right now than those two.
No, I mean Meyer Anthony Teal Campbell at the end of the year was like the best example of that. But probably De Paula. Yeah, De Paula and Hope is number 1. I was thinking like, were Basayo and Mayo ever that? But no, I don't think so. I think these guys.
Basayo and Mayo, you could make that case. I'm just thinking right now though, like it's those two. It's those two.
Right now it is those two. Let's get to a Yankee here. George Lombard Jr. is breaking out in front of our very eyes, and this was the one that a lot of people saw coming from a mile away in spring.
And we
training.
just wanted to wait. Like, let's let it happen.
It's like that swing looked real, man, and the swing has resulted in a 302 batting average through 13 games with a double, a triple, a homer. He's walked 12 times compared to 13 punch-outs in 13 games, and he's 7 for 8 in the stolen base department. When I see the clips of this guy, and when I see the swing, and when I see the way he moves on the base paths, it's just like athlete. He is an amazing, amazing athlete. He obviously has the bloodlines. This guy has the feel of get off the bus and be the best player on any field that he's on.
And he's got the moxie. He's got the son of a big leaguer energy to him in a good way, where it's just like he goes about his business like a guy that has been doing this longer than he has. And I want to like illustrate because we're talking like 1,000 OPS guys usually when we're doing these check-ins 3 weeks in, but for a lot of other teams in a lot of other situations, I think George Lombard would be repeating low A. But 110 games last year there as an 18-year-old, and he had a 672 OPS. But the changes that he made and everything that he showed in spring training was enough to promote him to high A. If he was repeating low A, he would have, a 1,200 OPS so far? Because this guy's making a big leap to high A, and he's got a 907 OPS, and he's controlling his ABs. So I think that's a big wrinkle in this thing, too, is like, not only are his numbers night and day better, they're night and day better in a big developmental leap from low A to high A for a 19-year-old. He's got to elevate the ball a little bit more, but the approach looks so good. Everything looks so comfortable, and the swing looks great. I mean, the adjustment that he made, and you just growing into his body a little bit more. Being 18 to 19 years old is a big difference. So you're seeing that shine through, and I'm seeing his brother now look like he could be like one of the best prospects in next year's class. Like,
I
and I might have to go to a high school game
type stuff.
We might have to go to a high school game down in Miami. Like I didn't think I'd be doing that, but he looks that good. The defense looks good. I'm really excited about this guy, and like we wanted to like wait just because We don't want to overreact to spring training, but this is kind of everything you would want to see to start the year.
100%. You're also seeing everything you wanted to see from Sal Stewart in the Cincinnati Reds organization. This has been your guy for a while, and Stewart last year missed some time. 80 games, hit 280 with an 845 OPS in high A. Goes to Double A Chattanooga, the Southern League. 14 games, he's hitting 315 with 7 extra base hits, and he's 6 for 7 in the stolen base department. Is this guy one of the more underappreciated prospects in baseball?
Yeah, he is. And I feel like even it sucks because I've been so excited. I've loved him since the draft. And then we put him on the just missed, and Reds fans gave us a little bit of a hard time. I get it.
But nobody else, like every other fan base is saying, who?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
He is very, very underrated. Barrels everything, man, and like just controls his ABs well. He's been a little bit more aggressive this year, but I think it's because he's hitting everything. Historically super patient, recognizes spin well, but the way that he's able to just get to everything. And I go back to the game that he had against Noah Schultz. And yes, that was a game where he ultimately hit I think it was a walk-off grand slam, but that's not why it was so impressive to me. It was just the different ways in which he was winning and succeeding. First at bat, it's a fastball, 95 miles per hour, a ball off the plate away, and he shoots it the other way for a 97 mile per hour double. Then right after that, he gets a hard 3-2 slider. And it's one of the best sliders in minor league baseball from Noah Schultz. Hard 3-2 slider down and in on the inside corner, pulls it 103 miles per hour for a single. Then he hits a 105 mile per hour fly out or line out on a fastball at the top of the zone off of Peyton Pillette. And then the final at bat was 100 mile per hour grand slam walk off in a shortened 7th inning game with 2 outs. The bases loaded, they hadn't scored at that point. He's just got this ability where, like, if it's a big spot, you don't really know how to get him out because he can beat you in so many different ways. And what held him out of the top 100 was a little bit of defensive question. They're sticking him at third now, and I think he can be okay there. That's all you need. And then it was the game power because he hits the ball hard. And he's still working to get into that game power a little bit more. But I'm becoming less and less concerned about that when he's just able to mount doubles all the time. And he's going to elevate a little bit more. And then those doubles turn into homers in Great American Small Park.
Yep. Quick aside, Schultz to Pillette is nasty work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a really good...
And it would have worked if it weren't for that meddling Sal Stewart.
Damn, man. Shout out Sal Stewart and shout out the White Sox for having something good in Double A. All right, we're going to wrap with some pitching performances in a moment. Before that, one more break. Start the pitching performers with a call-up and a guy that we've been waiting on for a while. Zach Agnos is officially a Colorado Rocky. And the reason that we bring up a name that you may have not heard before is because Agnos is really good and nobody knows about him. Big league debut, he throws a scoreless inning, he allows a hit, he does not K anyone. But Agnos, in 6 appearances with Albuquerque this year, was 2 for 2 in save opportunities, 8 innings, opponents were 3 for 28 against him, 2 runs, he struck out 10. Last year in the minor leagues between high A and double A, 52 and a third innings, this guy had a 1.38 ERA. Opponents hit 162 against him. The whip was under 0.8 because he only walked 11 in 52 and a third, and he K'd 63. This guy's been productive literally everywhere in the minor leagues, and he gets his shot in the big leagues.
I every time I look at the arsenal, dude, I want to make him a starter so bad. I'm not doing it like the classic thing we talk about. Like you look at the team and you look at the situation, and it's like he's gonna have outings where he doesn't even show like some of his pitches that are pretty good. That's a great problem though, and I think that's what's gonna allow him to have success. Like at Coors and outside of Coors, we're seeing Dolander still learn how to pitch at Coors because he's gonna have to have a different pitch usage set there and a different pitch usage set away. We saw him have success, in San Diego. And I think it's gonna be the same thing with Agnos, where he's got the fastball, he's got this cutter, a changeup, and a slider as well. But the command of all of those pitches is just so good, man. And I think when you're a high leverage arm, that we were talking about it, where guys, you have a reliever come in, guys in the dugout are getting the iPad, and yes, these relievers are disgusting because it's 270 great pitches, but you can eliminate. And so then you're going to have your approach, and it's going to be your best versus his best, and you just hope that he doesn't execute it perfectly. And a lot of times relievers don't. But with Agnos, like, you're going to get the iPad, and you're going to see fastball, cutter, changeup, slider. What do I eliminate? This is like facing a starting pitcher. So that I think is going to make him very uncomfortable and I think very effective and capable of going multi-inning relief if needed. But I do wonder, like, if it's because of how effective he is in general, if it's him and Halverson is like those like shut the door guys ultimately for them, as this team continues to hopefully just go younger. I know bringing in Clint Hurdle as your hitting coach doesn't scream that, but like
it's not younger.
In general,
that's Schmidt ball for you, and I love it. But no, man, I do think that, like, as weird as it sounds, this bullpen is starting to look like final form of what is fun. Pretty much every single time they turn to somebody, like Halverson. Kinley, I know Kinley's 34 years old, but like Kinley's got some gross stuff.
He's fine. Yeah, the slider's good.
It's funky. You got Halverson throwing fuel. You've got Agnos, who's got a starter pitch mix that's in the bullpen. Chivilli throws 97, 98. That can work. Scott Alexander, I know he's 36 years old. Like it's just a funky little slider. But then you got a Jaden Hill who could be fine. And then you go down below, like, who's to say Palmquist isn't a multi-inning reliever? Luis Peralta, I know he struggled a little bit, but like Peralta looks like a good get. Jeffrey Yon's an electric factory. Like
Nick throws 100. Like, it's weird for a team that lacks a lot of analytics in their approach.
They've got some data darlings in that bullpen.
They do, and it might just be like big guy throw hard, but you know what? I do like what they're doing in the bullpen a little bit in the rotation. Like, it's not great, but the situation is as good as it's been, which isn't saying much in a while, but they're horrible this year. They're going to be bad, but I can see the vision a little bit. And I do think Agnos is just another guy. Like, you just need to find arms that can get outs at altitude. And Agnos is another one of those, whether it's a starter, reliever, whatever it is. Find guys that can pitch that inning or two, and he can do that.
Yep. All right, let's go to big guy throw hard. Chase Burns, Cincinnati Reds prospect. Burns just got the bump up to Double-A Chattanooga. And Chase Burns has been, you mentioned it, the it guy in minor league baseball when it comes to pitching prospects as it stands right now. He closes the high A chapter of his career, 11 2/3 innings, 5 hits. Opponents were 5 for 40. He struck out 20 in 11 2/3. Homer did bite him twice. He got taken deep, and that gave him an ERA over 3 through 3 starts in high A. But Burns, like, are you bought into the point? I know that we've talked about Burns and Hagen Smith kind of teetering on each other, and you sided with Smith. I sided with Burns initially, and then I think I leaned Smith after what we saw in spring breakout. I was like, this is unfreaking believable. Burns is kind of unfreaking believable right now, too.
Also unbelievable. Do you know who the other player is that took Chase Burns deep in that same game?
No.
You're going to laugh.
Who?
Kendall George.
It's funny.
That is good, right? It was
Higher Hope and Kendall George and Josue De Paula.
Sometimes the guy you least expect is going to beat you there. And it wasn't Hope. I think the people were expecting that. But yeah, Kendall George snuck out a 94-mile-per-hour homer to the other way, but it just carried out of there. But I mean, Burns, to get to what you were saying, the command of the breaking ball has just been outrageous. And seeing that, and I put a little thread together on X about the way that he's utilizing that cut ride fastball as well. The concern for me was that fastball over the middle is, can get hit, even though it's got, some life to it because it's such a high over the top release. And I think a lot of times in college, he's throwing max effort, and sometimes it was cutting back over the middle, and then other times it was kind of running back over the middle. Now it seems like he's got the confidence of knowing when it's going to be a little bit more of the arm side run and when it's going to be a little bit more of the cut ride. So he was backdooring a little bit with the slight cut with the fastball, and then also tying guys up with the fastball. And then some of the ones that ran to the arm side, those were starting middle or starting middle away and running away instead of starting in and running back over the middle. So I think we're seeing him command the stuff better on the fastball side and on the breaking ball side. And I think that's just really unlocked another level for him. And a little bit more of a differentiation of the slider and the curveball has helped too. I mean, early returns, he's been much better than Hagen Smith. I'm not going to totally override my analysis after a couple starts. Smith bounced back and looked really good last time out. But, I mean, it has been everything you've wanted to see from Burns and then some. So I'm excited to see him in double.
No doubt, man. Another first-round pick from a year ago, Ben Hess out of the University of Alabama. Yankees took him. Yankees know how to make their guys right after not throwing after they're drafted. And Ben Hess, to begin his pro career, 2 starts with High A Hudson Valley. Opponents are 5 for 34 in 9 2/3 innings. In 9 2/3, Ben Hess has struck out 18 batters. How's he doing it?
It's just so crazy, man. Every single time these Yankees pitchers that they draft come out of that like pitching performance program, they come out with just freak stuff. And it's just like freak data points. Four-seamer is getting 21 inches of vert from a 5.6 release height. That might be some of the best carry in minor league baseball if that extrapolates over a larger sample size.
That shouldn't be real. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's outrageous. I'm going to try to find like release to vert comps on like a scatter plot, but he's getting above average extension too. So yeah, the fastball is only 92, but that's a plus heater comfortably, maybe plus.
Absolutely.
So that part's crazy. Then he's got this curveball at 75 that's getting 16 vert and 16 horizontal. So that's just a freakazoid pitch. And he's landing that somehow with 2 plane for a strike at nearly 70%. And then this changeup's getting 19 inches of horizontal the other way and 15 inches of vertical separation at 82. And then he'll sprinkle in a 2-seamer as well that I think might just be a 4-seamer that he's just kind of running over. I'm curious. But then also more of this like slurvy slider at 83. It's like you were able to like curate your arsenal exactly how you wanted to in this lab and make it work. And at 92, like that's going to play, especially with the command. He is filling up the zone, 70% strike rate. Just across the arsenal looks great. He's a guy that could be on top 100 list by the middle of the season, just with the stuff and the command and the way everything's looking. I love it. I'm really excited about him. I mean, he's 6'5", 250. So at like 92, I almost feel like he's going to be built to throw 200 innings potentially. I don't want to put that on anybody nowadays, but he looks like it. So I'm really pumped on Ben Hess.
Got you. Another guy that I know you're pumped on is another Yankee pitching prospect. That was their second pick in 2024 to Vanderbilt, Bryce Cunningham. Right-hander, 18 innings. He has allowed 7 earned runs, but he's only walked 2 and he's punched out 22. What's gone into him kind of out of this, what do you call it? A pitching program? A pitching
I don't, they might have a specific name for it. Like it's a pitching performance program or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is.
PPP, but wasn't that a COVID loan?
Yeah, it was the loans that a lot of people were fraudulently getting. There's a whole, I just watched a whole thing on that. It was crazy. Yeah, he had 5 earned in the second start of the year, so it skews the numbers. But I wanted to just mention him in tandem here because it's just another example of like the Yankees drafting a guy, putting him on the back burner a little bit, developing him a little bit before his first pro season, and then seeing where the stuff, just what it looks like after having him in a controlled environment. Big dude, 6'5", 230. He's giving 7 feet of extension, Jack. Like this is a higher release. It's 6 feet, but that's still pretty standard. It's like 5.95, so pretty close to big league average. He's getting 18 vert, so above average vert still, plus extension, really plus and a half, and he's throwing 94. So he's a big dude, throw hard and get good characteristics, and it gets on you quick. Changeup is good off of that. I like the big arms, the big body guys that speed you up, and then they get this changeup that you just don't really expect from them. And then the slider and curveball look good as well. It's just another 4-pitch guy. So yeah. I like what we see here as well. And besides the one blow up, he has been around the zone. It's 73% strike rate this year too. 22 punch outs, 2 Ks. The Yankees no arms, man. They usually end up trading them, but they find currency that way.
So do Seattle. The Mariners no arms, and Ryan Sloan, excuse the first start, an inning he went, that was it. 2 runs, he walked 2 and struck out 2. Next time out against Inland Empire on April 16th, 3 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 7 Ks in 3 2/3. 59 pitches, 41 for strikes. Watching just some of the pitches back, he moves like he's 30. He knows how to pitch, man. And that was what everybody loved during the draft process, too. It was like, wow, this guy's just a really mature right-hander that happens to run it up to the upper 90s. I didn't realize, number one, I didn't realize how big Senja was. And I think Durangelo Senja got a little bit bigger. Number 2, I didn't realize, just how veteran Ryan Sloan looked.
It's ridiculous. It's because you just don't know how that's going to translate into pro ball right away. Like, and especially people get a little bit more hesitant with like the colder weather kids, whatever it may be. He looks like early returns. This could be a major steal. I don't want to overreact to like one outing, but the one outing I just watched at 3 2/3 of 1 run ball, 1 walk, 7 Ks, and getting the data on that start and the feel for, I mean, the fastball, like it could have better shape, but he got it up to 98, and it's still a lower release for a big kid, 6'5" as well.
Yeah.
The sweeper is disgusting and sharp with late bite, and it's 12 horizontal, no vert. Then he sometimes is getting up to like 17 horizontal on that sweeper at a little bit lower velocity, so he almost can manipulate it. And then he's getting a splitter going 13 inches the other way that looks ridiculous at 89. He's a top 100 prospect. In the next update, unless something ridiculous happens and he hits some crazy wall, the delivery is way too smooth. He's way too athletic on the mound. As you mentioned, like, he looks like a vet out there. And then you look at the stuff between the breaking ball, specifically the sweeper, and that splitter.
Yeah.
If he gets a little bit more confident throwing that splitter more, this is one of the more exciting young arms. He's going to be 19 until next year.
I think it's important to call Scott Hunter, the scouting director for the Seattle Mariners, one of the better identifiers in Major League Baseball. Like, that guy has been amazing. And when you look at their first round picks, like George Kirby out of Elon, Logan Gilbert out of Stetson, Brian Wu was a later round pick, Bryce Miller was a later round pick after not being that good at A&M. And then they go and grab Farmello and Colt Emerson the same draft.
Ben Williamson out of William and Mary is up at the big leagues and helping them right now.
Tyler Locklear out of VCU. And then you go and grab Senja underslot to get this kid from Chicago in high school at like a non-powerful traditional high school. Like, I mean, he is so good at sifting through everything and just finding dudes at the top of drafts, at the middle of drafts. There's a reason Seattle is always churning through these young talents.
And it's not because they're spending money. So it's really amazing how they're able to keep loading up. And I think they're as good of a drafting team as you're going to see. And we're seeing the latest example of that.
Yep. Last guy that we got to talk about is a Blue Jay prospect, Trey Yesavage, the East Carolina guy, 20th overall pick last year out of ECU. Yesavage to this point, 12 2/3, 4 earned runs. It's a 2.84 ERA. Struck out 6, but walked 6, but struck out 18 in 12 2/3. What's gone into his good start?
Yeah, it was funny. You mentioned walk 6. He walked 6 in the first outing, and then
he's just been nailed
hasn't walked one
since then?
since. Yeah,
Cool.
and so that's why I was like, I wanted to talk about him because when you look at numbers in the small sample, he's going to get buried on like your queries or whatever. But he's pitched 9 innings here of 14 strikeouts and no walks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 4 earned in that stretch, but I just figured good time to check in on several of the draft arms, and the stuff is crazy. Like there is some concern because the fastball is it might be the highest release I've seen in minor league baseball. 7.1 foot release height. Isn't like that's as high over the top as it gets, but it might be so over the top that it might be a weird angle for guys. But the splitter has been as advertised. The slider has been really good as well. And I just think that you have a 3-pitch mix here. He's still sitting in the mid-90s. Where, I mean, this is just such a high probability big league starter. I think there were some questions about the medicals and that scary lung issue and whatever. But like, he looks good. He looks healthy. He's 6'4", 230. He's got 3 pitches that all look like they can be big league offerings. And the 2 secondaries could be plus. And he's starting to fill up the zone now. He's getting ground balls. I'd imagine he's going to be in high A soon, within a start or two. I think they just wanted to kind of ease him into things. But last time out, 67 pitches, 50 strikes. Time out before that, 55 pitches, 41 strikes. He's throwing harder in each of the last 2 outings as well. I hope he makes one more down here and I can maybe catch him. But I'd imagine he's in high A quick. And once he's moving, I think he's really going to get moving. Like I don't think they're going to waste a lot of bullets in the middle minors and things like that.
So he's about 5 inches higher than Nick Pivetta on the release height.
Yeah, that's like I think I mentioned that in the draft write-up where it's like he needs to get such elite vert for that to work really well or locate. He's going to have to locate well. What I do like is his arsenal is designed, I think, to at least benefit from that a little bit more where you have splitter working straight down from that super high release. It's probably going to help. And then that slider is is more gyro. So everything's working down well. I think that will help him.
Yep, that's what we got.
That's it. We have Cam Meisner on the Just Baseball show tomorrow, so check that out. We'd love for you guys to listen to that. And we will have Red Sox top prospects next week. We're going to figure out what we're doing for the second episode this week. Maybe a mailbag. I know we put together a schedule, but it could be something that's
maybe a mailbag, maybe a college check-in. I also tried to ping our people on the guy hitting 340 in Great Lakes again. So we'll see if that guy can hop on.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But we'll keep you posted there. Definitely are going to start doing some more draft check-ins. I've been starting to dip my toes into that whole process, but as you know, we got our on-the-clock guys, Tyler Jennings, Jared Perkins, do an amazing job with that show and with the rankings and everything on justbaseball.com. They're also always talking in the Discord for the MLB draft. So if you're already starting to get excited about who your team may be able to draft, you can talk to those guys in our Discord. That link is in the episode description, and I'm always talking in there as well. That'll do it for this episode. We'll talk prospects with you later this week.